computer. That's right. Today's topic is international arbitrage. As you know, the arbitrage is the action to get the profit from two different prices. You know, in international finance or any finance or investment, the important rule is that the low of one price for the same asset. So low of one price. So if there exist two different prices for the same stock or same like currency, same assets, what would you do? What you do is just buy low and sell high. And then the difference between those two is your profit. That profit is called arbitrage profit, right? Arbitrage profit. So in an easy way, the arbitrage profit is equal to free lunch, delicious free sushi lunch, okay? Because this arbitrage profit is basically has no risk. So it's a riskless profit. Just is the profit comes from the price disparity. So, just, sell high, buy low, sell high. The difference is the profit, and that there is riskless profit, which is called arbitrage profit. All right. So when this happens, one second. When this happens, when the two different prices exist for the same asset, then arbitrageurs, they take action, immediate action, by selling high and buying low. And the two different actions simultaneously, that will create arbitrage profit, right? Now, as more, a number of like arbitrageurs, they come into market to exploit this riskless profit. This arbitrage opportunity will get narrower, and disappears soon. Okay. All right. There are three different types of arbitrage profit. Arbitrage we'll talk about today: locational arbitrage, triangular arbitrage, and covered interest arbitrage. So let's start with the simple locational arbitrage. All right. Look at this. Now, given a simple exchange rate quote here, New York, the British pound is selling for $1.75. In London, $1.73. Here, we see that, right? We see the two different prices. Price disparity. So your your arbitrage action would be buy, British pound in London at $1.73. $1.73, and then sell it in New York at $1.75. So what do you have? The arbitrage profit, location arbitrage profit is this one minus this. So 2 cents per British pound, 1 pound. If it's like 1 million pound, if you are doing this action with 1 million pound, that's simply this one times 1 million. So here, $20,000, right? $20,000. That's the profit for the arbitrage, the locational arbitrage. Very simple. But oftentimes in the interbank transactions, the price is given as a bid-ask quotation there, right? Look at this. So, for example, New York $1.75, 76, London $1.73, 74. Okay, now this British pound looks expensive. It is expensive in New York and cheaper in London. So buy British pound in London and sell it in New York. Now, the thing is, thing is, when you buy British pound in London, now you are given bid-ask price. How much do you pay? How much do you pay to buy British pound when you're given this bid-ask quotation? When you buy bid, I told you that bid-ask means bid or ask by the dealer, right? Just add that word by the dealer. So when you buy British pound, you have to pay asked price by the dealer. So you have to pay $1.74, right? $1.74. If you sell it in New York, if you sell British pound in New York, now again, bid ask by the dealer, right? When you sell it, you will get the bid price by the dealer, right? So $1.75. That's how much you get, right? So your profit, arbitrage profit is this one, selling price and buy price. So 1 cent per British pound. So this one is $10,000 per British, 1 million British pound. That's the arbitrage profit, right? So if you see, expensive area, expensive location, that's New York, and cheaper location in London. So buy London in London cheaper and sell high in New York. That's the rule, right? That's the rule. Now, the last example is you are given this bid-ask price in those two locations. So let's do this way here. Again, buy pound in London, sell it in New York. So buy pound in London, how much do you pay? $1.755. Asked by the dealer, you have to pay. Now, when you sell it, you will get bid by the dealer. So $1.75. All right, now look at this. Do you see any arbitrage profit here? You don't. The selling price is lower than the buy price. So there's no arbitrage opportunity. So here the conclusion is no arbitrage opportunity. Right? So when you are given this bid-ask price, you compare ask in low location and buy in high location. When buy in, wait a second, ask in low, that's right. When buy in high location is greater than ask in low location, there we have arbitrage opportunity. But if it is the opposite, like this one, then there's no arbitrage opportunity. Okay, so you have to be careful. Okay? So ask price in low location, and then buy price in expensive location. All right, that was the first example, locational arbitrage. Oftentimes, many times, the arbitrage location, arbitrage opportunity can be identified through three different locations, right? So in this case, you have to go through these three locations, right? So I mean, I have these three locations: New York, Frankfurt, London, right? New York, Frankfurt, London. But in the real world, it doesn't have to be this like foreign country, different countries, right? For example, Chase Bank, the Wells Fargo Bank, and the JP Morgan Chase Bank, and PNC Bank. You can apply that way too. Three different locations with different quotation, different currency. Now, this data is like process data, right? I put it in this order. I mean, raw data might be different, but look at this here. British pound is 1.5422 in New York, and euro is 1.1240 per euro, and in London the British pound in euro, so 1.3640 euro per British pound. I restructured this one because look at this. If you multiply this unit, dollar per euro, euro per pound, if you multiply these two, so for example here, B times C. If you do B times C, you will end up with the same unit. All right, you'll end up with the same unit. Do you see that? Right? So euro is offset each other. You will end up with the dollar per pound. Now this one is directly comparable to this. So this is the our process data. If you have the question in words, then try to restructure this way, right? So that the second one, if you multiply the second one and third one, you will end up with this one, the first one, to be directly comparable to the first one, all right? So Chase Bank, Wells Fargo Bank, and PNC Bank. Then you restructure that, process that one this way, and so that you can have this system. Now, okay, now here, if you go through Frankfurt, London, and simply the first step is just multiply these two, multiply this and this. So you will get the this price. This price, the British pound in dollar, right? British pound in dollar. Now this one is directly comparable to this one here. What do you see? This two. British pound is cheaper, Frankfurt and London, right? And is expensive in New York. So your strategy is buy British pound in Frankfurt, London, and sell it in New York. That should be your strategy. You see that? All right, then what is the, if you take the immediate action? I mean, this one, I told you, as more arbitrageurs jump in this opportunity, this arbitrage opportunity will disappear soon. So you have to jump in these two simultaneous transactions at the same time immediately. Now, what you do is, now you buy this one, the British pound, Frankfurt to London, this price, and sell it here. So the profit is this one minus this one here. So this $0.0091 per British pound. That's your triangular arbitrage opportunity. If you do it at $1 million, then the arbitrage profit is $9,064 per 1 million British pound. Now, if you start with let's change that to 1 million US dollar. So when you buy that, you buy at 1.533 per British pound, right? You buy that this one. So this one is for the profit per British pound. So to calculate profit per $1 million, you have to divide that by this one, buying price. So $5,912.07. That is the profit per $1 million. Okay. All right. Now This one is how to calculate the profit per British pound or per 1 million British pound per 1 million British the US dollar. Let me show you a little bit differently. Let me take this one here. Let me show this one graphically. All right. So let's start with the $1 million in New York. In New York, you got $1 million. So your like triangular arbitrage action is to start with $1 million in New York. So first, you change that to euro. I mean, you have to buy this, British pound through Frankfurt and London. So first, you go to Frankfurt and then buy this one, buy euro in $1 million. So this $1 million divided by euro is this one, right? 1.1240. That's the amount of euro that you buy. That one here. So 889,680 euro is the amount of euro that you can buy with your $1 million from New York. Okay. And this one, bring this euro to London and then buy British pound. So how much? So this is euro, and in London, 1 euro, I mean, 1 British pound is worth 1.3640. So you divide that by 1.3640. That is the amount of British pound that you buy in London. All right. So exactly what you did so far is that you buy British pound through Frankfurt and London. And then last action is sell it in New York, right? Sell it in New York. So this one is British pound, and 1 British pound is 1.5422. So what do you do is this amount of British pound times the price, dollar price of 1 British pound, that will give you this amount. All right. You started $1 million and you end up with $5,912. So here, arbitrage profit. Arbitrage profit is $5,912, which is identical to this one here. Okay. So either way is okay. I mean, this one is quite, if you understand this one clearly, and this one is quite straightforward, the approach. But this one is more, graphical and more like dramatic. I mean, more story-like, the step-by-step the solution. But the answer is the same. All right. And then next, right? Given this quote, I told you, Frankfurt, London. Let's multiply that one and this one here. All right. Now, in this case, if you go through Frankfurt, London, that is more expensive, right? More expensive than the price in New York. So in this case, the British pound is cheaper in New York and expensive in Frankfurt, London. So your strategy is buy British pound in New York and sell it Frankfurt, London. That will be your strategy, your action. Let's do that. Triangular arbitrage profit. If you compare this to, the profit will be high minus low. That's the profit. So it's a 0.0903 per British pound, and if you get the profit per 1 million British pound, this one, $9,032. And if you change that to to the profit per $1 million, then which one did you pay to buy? You bought in New York, so you have to divide that by this one here, $5,856.83. That is the price that you get, right? The profit that you get, all right? Now, the action here follows. You buy British pound in New York and sell it through like Frankfurt, London. So starting with the $1 million in New York, and then you buy that buy British pound in New York. How much do you get? 1 million divided by 1.5422. That is the amount of that is amount of British pound. Oh, this is British pound. This moment. This is British pound. Wait a second. Okay, this is British pound, right? British pound. And then this one should be euro. Right? This one should be euro. And this one should be US dollars. Let me show you why that happens. Now, first, with this $1 million, you bought a British pound in New York. It gives you 648,424 British pound. And then the next step in London, you change that to the euro there. Now, in this case, you go the opposite direction. In here, when you buy that British pound, the Frankfurt, London, you go through this way. But if you buy British pound in New York, then you have to buy that in here directly, here in New York, and then you have to go in the opposite direction, all right? Just make sure that, and then here, 648,424 British pound, that gives you how much euro? So 648, but 1 British pound, that gives you 1.1240. So you have to multiply that by this this one here. Okay, that one is the amount. Oh, wait a second. What did I do? F27, D20. London, no, actually. This one is London price. You go London price, this one here, right? This one. Okay. All right. So, no, yeah, this one. 8,000, right? 8,094, 894,809 euro. And then in Frankfurt, what you do is change this euro to dollar, right? So, and change that to dollar here. See that? Okay. Then you started the $1 million, and then after you complete this procedure, you end up with the $1,005,857. So arbitrage profit is $5,857. That is exactly same as this one here. Okay. Now that was simple case. I mean, you were given just the currencies, the exchange rate for this. Now suppose you are given bid-ask quotation. Again, when you get the raw data, you process that this way. So again, if you multiply that, then you will end up, if you multiply B and C, then this Malaysian ringgit will be offset. You will end up with the dollar per pound, right? Dollar per pound. So you process it and to this structure. All right. So it's the same way. I mean, you multiply this and this, B and C, and you get this one here. If you multiply this and this, you'll get this one here. All right. So now this one is directly comparable to this New York. If you go through Frankfurt, this is not Frankfurt, it's Malaysia. Malaysia. Oh, it doesn't matter actually. No, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Let's put it there, Frankfurt. Okay. If you go through a Frankfurt, London, then what do? You have this price. So if you compare this price and the New York price, what do you see? New York is expensive and Frankfurt, London is less expensive there. So this one, British pound is cheaper through Frankfurt, London. And then you have to buy the British pound through Frankfurt, London, and sell it in New York. All right. Okay. Now, this is the same structure, same procedure. Triangular the arbitrage opportunity to get this one. Now, you have to be careful here. When you buy that, how much do you pay? Now, the cheaper price is here. Now, when you buy British pound, how much do you pay? You pay as price. So, simply, and when you sell it in New York, how much do you get? You get bid price by the dealer. So, to calculate the arbitrage profit, bid in high, ask in low, that is the amount of the arbitrage profit per British pound. And then for 1 million British pound is the 17,400. And if you want to change that to $1 million, which number should you use here? You have to use the paying price to buy this British pound. This is it, right? This is it. Okay. All right. Malaysian ringgit. All right. So now, in this like a triangular action will be you start with your $1 million in New York, and then bring it to Malaysia, Frankfurt. Wait a second. Since we have the Malaysian ringgit, let's just change that to Malaysia. It doesn't matter, but doesn't matter. This one should be Malaysian, and the same way this one. So this and this. All right. Okay. Starting with the $1 million, you get Malaysian ringgit in Malaysia there, because that's the second one here. So when you buy Malaysian ringgit, this is what you have to do. You start with the $1 million, and when you buy Malaysian ringgit, how much do you pay? You pay ask by the dealer, right? Ask by the dealer, right? And then with this Malaysian ringgit, you buy the pound in London there, London. So here with this Malaysian ringgit, you pay how much? Ask by the dealer. So you end up with the 631,872 British pound. You got it. through Malaysia and London, right? Bring it to New York, and then how much you have to sell it. This one, 631,872 British pound, and each British pound, when you sell each British pound in New York, how much do you receive? You receive bid price, right? Bid price. Okay, as I said, bid by the dealer. So arbitrage profit is 10,995. That's your arbitrage profit, triangular arbitrage profits. So that's exactly this one here. Okay. All right. That the last one is the opposite case. Last one is the opposite case. If you multiply this one here and here, now this one, Frankfurt, this one is, let's change that to Malaysia. If you buy British pounds through Malaysia and London, it is more expensive, right? More expensive here. Compare this one and this one. So pound is cheaper in New York. So buy pound in New York and sell it in Malaysia and London. Okay, that's your arbitrage action. Okay, so now here, you buy this British pound at this one, right? You sell it and at this. So your arbitrage profit is your selling price minus buy price as 0.01, 100. Okay, and if you change that to 1 million per 1 million, so that's that. That's it. And if you want to change that to US dollar, $1 million, so you bought it for what? This one here. Okay. All right. So your British pound, I mean, the triangular arbitrage profit, given all this information, per $1 million is $6,211. Right? So let's try this. Now, the arbitrage action here is buy pound in New York and sell it London. This case, London and Frankfurt. So this one is London and Frankfurt. London and Malaysia. Sell it in London, Malaysia. So here, with $1 million you borrowed or in your account and in New York, and then change that by British pound in New York. So this one divided by, when you buy that, you pay ask by the dealer price. So 621,118. That's the British pound, right? This is British pound. This is British pound. So you've got the 621,118 British pound here, and then in London there, you change that to Malaysian ringgit. So you buy Malaysian ringgit. I mean, you buy Malaysian ringgit using a British pound. So this one, this time you should be careful. You already have British pound, and you want to change that into the Malaysian ringgit. So in this case, London here. When you sell British pound, how much do you get? And sell British pound and get the Malaysian ringgit, you get this amount, right? This amount. There is the amount. When in London, you sell British pound and then get the Malaysian ringgit, sell it. When you sell it, how much do you get? You get the bid price by the dealer. That's why I multiply that by 8.1. And then in Frankfurt, you again sell Malaysian ringgit and change that to US dollar. So you have this 5 million Malaysian ringgit. Then you get how much? For each Malaysian ringgit, you will get this one, not this one. This one here. Okay. So when you go the opposite direction, you sell them, right? So your arbitrage profit here, obviously, is 62.11. That is your arbitrage profit, triangular arbitrage profit, which is exactly the same as this. All right. Okay. You can choose anything, either way, right? Either way. This one is, straightforward, but you have to be careful which number you use, right? And this one is more graphical way or more detailed step-by-step way. This one looks interesting, right? So try that. Again, when you are given, like in the question, you will be given in all this like information in words. The first thing you have to do is you restructure this one to this system. This system, that's important, right? Restructure that to this system. Okay, and then the rest is very easy. The rest is kind of automatic, right? Okay. The last one is covered interest arbitrage. So, for triangular arbitrage, I think once you understand all this approach, this method, and it's just a matter of application, applying this methodology to the question that you see, right? And covered interest arbitrage, that's the third one here. The first one is locational arbitrage profit. You just compare two different location, and oftentimes that the arbitrage opportunity can be identified through 3 different locations, right? 3 different branches or locations, and then you get the profit. Now, sometimes this arbitrage profit can be identified through different macroeconomic variables like interest rate, spot rate, forward rate, right? In 2 different countries. Okay. So the information that is given here. Okay. UK, the United Kingdom interest rate is 6%, US interest rate 4%, and then the exchange rate, spot rate for British pound is 1.697, and 1-year forward rate is 1.68. Okay. Now, given this one here, so we have to identify the covered interest arbitrage opportunity. Yeah. Now, typical way, graphical way, step-by-step way is this. If you invest $1 million, for example, $1 million or $1 in New York, then it will end up at the 4%. You'll end up with 1.04 million, right? 1.04 million. But if you bring it to the London, you have to change this $1 to the British pound. So you have to use spot rate to convert this one to British pound. This one is British pound, right? This one is British pound. Let me copy and there, and this one is British pound, right? This one is still dollar. This one is British pound too, yeah, right. And then as you change, converting to British pound, you invest this one at the British pound interest rate. in 1 year, you will end up with this. Okay. Now this one is British pound. This one is British pound. And here, since you are given the spot rate and interest rate, 1 year interest rate, the whole thing here up to this point, everything is certain. There's no uncertainty here. It's certain. But the problem is $1.04 and this pound are not directly comparable. We have no idea what's going to happen to British pound in 1 year. Now, as we know, there's one way to make this uncertain amount of British pound to certain the amount of US dollar. What is that? It's the forward contract, 1 year forward contract, right? So if you want to get rid of any uncertainty is called exchange rate risk. Uncertainty for 1 year, in 1 year, and you use forward contract based on the forward rate. Then the amount, for certain amount is using this, the forward contract, 1.68 times this one times 1.68 forward contract rate, it gives you 1.049390. So if you compare this to this and this, what do you see? You clearly see the investing in UK, investing your capital in UK is more attractive, more profitable, right? So we say that okay, in this case we say this, covered interest arbitrage is in favor of UK. You say this, okay? So you have the more attractive, favorable deal, a favorable outcome in London. So in UK, so we say covered interest arbitrage is in favor of UK. How much? How more attractive? This minus this, right? So this minus this. If this one is just invest the $1 in US, you will end up with this, right? End up with this one here. Invest $1 in UK. The first you have to switch that dollar to British pound this way, and then in 1 year you end up with the 0.624637. And then if you make, this one British pound to certain amount of dollar using forward contract, you end up with this amount, right? So the difference between these two is your covered interest arbitrage profit. 4,939 minus 104. So this is per dollar. So if you change that to per $1 million, per million, then you have to multiply this one by 1 million. So your covered interest arbitrage is arbitrage profit is $9,390 per $1 million. That is your, CIA profit for $1 million. Okay. Now, sometimes, let's see this way. Suppose forward rate is 66. If the forward rate is 66, if the forward rate, let me copy and copy. down. Put it in here. Suppose this one is 66 cents. 66 cents. Then what do you see here? This one should be 66. And this one should be 66. Here. Look at this. This one, if you compare this two, which one is bigger? Now, in this case, you say, okay, in this case, US is more favor. Yeah. So you say covered interest arbitrage is in favor of US. And then the covered interest profit, arbitrage profit is this minus, oops, no, this minus this here. That's per dollar. Per dollar. Oops. This per US dollar. And per $1 million, times 1 million. So 3,100, $2.50. That is the covered interest arbitrage profit per $1 million. So it's either way, right? You could do either way. All right. So that is about covered interest arbitrage. Right? Covered interest arbitrage. So our original problem that gives you $9,390 arbitrage profit per $1 million. Right? Before I continue, let me okay, this one is what we did here, step by step. I just simply change that to mathematical or symbol using symbols mathematically. So what we did is you invest $1 at the IUS percent. So in 1 year you end up with 1 plus IUS. That's your outcome, right? If you bring this $1 to London and change that to the $1 is yeah. Okay, $1 to UK, and then change that to the British pound here. So 1/E, the 1/E, that means spot rate. That's the British pound, and invest it at your UK interest. That will give you 1/E times 1 plus IUK. And then to make this British pound certain equivalence to US dollar, then you get into forward contract, and then you multiply that by forward contract. So what we did was this amount is this, okay? And then this one is this one. And this one is this. All right, so these two are identical procedure, but this one is in some more interest and spot rate and forward rate. Yeah. So we simply compare this one and this one. These two. We compare these two. If this one is bigger than the US outcome, then we say covered interest arbitrage is in favor of UK. If this one is bigger than this, we say is in favor of the arbitrage profit is in favor of US. Now, simply, if the covered interest arbitrage profit is in favor of UK, then what would happen internationally between these two country model? And US capital will flow into UK, move to UK, and convert it into British pound and then invest it in this this interest rate, and then using forward contract, it will be like you will get the for sure amount and you compare this, right? If the covered interest arbitrage profit is in favor of US, then typically UK capital will be like invested, will be moved to US and change that to US dollar and invest it in here and end up with arbitrage profit. It's like free lunch, okay? Now, then, as I said at the beginning, arbitrage profit, there are numerous arbitrageurs, and when they identify this arbitrage profit opportunity, they will immediately jump into this opportunity to exploit this opportunity. As more and more arbitrageurs jump into this opportunity will get smaller, and disappear. Okay? So important thing here, all these variables here. Now, the interest rate, UK interest rate and US interest rate, they are not very flexible, right? They are not very flexible. But spot rate, exchange rate E, and the forward rate, they are flexible, right? So when you have this covered interest arbitrage opportunity, then this, and as more arbitrageurs jump into this opportunity, this one, the spot exchange rate or forward exchange rate, forward rate, they adjust themselves toward the equality until this opportunity disappears. Covered interest arbitrage opportunity disappears. So they will adjust themselves toward that direction. So covered interest arbitrage opportunity gets smaller, and disappears through exchange rate, the exchange rate. Okay. Interest rate parity, this interest parity should appear in chapter 8 because interest rate parity is the equilibrium condition in international finance, the foreign exchange market. So I think it's in our chapter 7, but I think I would locate this one in chapter 8 because chapter 8 is about international finance equilibrium condition or international finance parity condition. But since it is here, let me explain this one here. I explained this one here. What you do is you compare this and this, right? I told you compare this and this, and which one is bigger here, and then we conclude that covered interest arbitrage is in favor of either US or UK. So that's what that means here. Look at this. Compare this one in US outcome and compare this one UK outcome, and if this one is equal, that means there is no covered interest arbitrage opportunity there. If this right-hand side, UK outcome, is bigger than US outcome, then we say the covered interest arbitrage is in favor of UK. If this one is bigger than this one, is the covered interest arbitrage is in favor of US. All right? So as I said, if you find this gap, this like the arbitrage opportunity, then the number of numerous arbitrageurs, they jump into this one, jump into this opportunity until they are equalized. Do you see why we say that this one is still parity or equilibrium condition, right? This is exactly equilibrium condition. So equilibrium condition of I of P is this. Either way, 1 plus IUS divided by 1 plus IUK is equal to forward rate divided by spot rate. That is absolute or complete form of the interest rate parity. Parity means equality, right? And more the practitioners, they use more like the relative form or differential form. So to derive this one, you just subtract 1 from both sides. Then it will go this way: 1 minus 1 plus IUS minus 1 minus IUK over 1 plus UK is equal to F over E. Actually, to be more, you have to do this way, right? That's right. No, wait, no, this one is E. Right. Okay, so that will be this one here. Now this right hand side, F minus E, forward minus spot divided by spot, is this one. Now if you look at the left hand side, it will be this one is canceled out, and you will end up IUS minus IUK divided by 1 plus UK. But in practice, this one, IUS minus IUK over 1 plus IUK, is close to this. See, approximation, IUS minus IUK, and this. Now look at this. IUS minus IUK, we talk about this one in chapter 4, is the interest rate differential, or relative interest, right? The IUS minus IUK. This one is what? What is this? Forward minus spot divided by spot is forward premium or forward discount. We talk about this one in chapter 3, right? So forward premium. This one is relative interest or interest rate differential. This one is forward premium or discount, right? Or discount. If this two is equal, then we say the equilibrium, interest rate parity. However, if this one, forward premium, is greater than this, the interest rate differential, then this is the case. If this one is bigger, then it's the case covered interest arbitrage in favor of UK. Or if this one is interest rate differential is bigger than the covered interest arbitrage, then is covered interest arbitrage is in favor of US. Now, then, this is simply, let me apply this way here. Now, we have 6%, 4%, 1.697, 1.68. Let's get this one here. This one is what? This left-hand side is US is 4%, 4% minus 6%. This minus 2%, right? This one, let's get this one. 1.68 minus 1.697, is that right? 697 divided by 1.697 here. Look at this. This one, let's change that to percentage, or let's change that to number. Either way. Now, which one is bigger? We calculate this left-hand side. We calculate this right-hand side. Which one is bigger? Definitely, this one is bigger. So the direction is this way. So the UK outcome is bigger than this. So this is the case again. This is the case. Covered interest arbitrage in favor of UK, right? So if you understand this one, if you understand the interest rate parity, the equation this way, the relative form, then this relative form can be used to identify first whether there exists any covered interest arbitrage opportunity, or and second, in which direction. Is it in favor of US or is it in favor of UK? So you can use the equation, the relationship, to identify whether the covered interest arbitrage exists and in which direction it is in favor of. Right. So forward premium is equal to interest rate differential, then covered interest arbitrage 0 because there is no covered interest arbitrage opportunity. So it's called interest rate parity. Okay. So again, this one is about the parity or equilibrium condition, which is supposed to be dealt with the in chapter 8. Now here, two variables in relative form is this. So if you show that graphically, so this is interest rate differential. This one is forward premium or forward discount, right? Forward premium, if it is positive, is forward premium. If it's negative, is forward discount, right? Either way. So when this one is equal to this one, that's the 45-degree line, that's called interest rate parity line, IRP line there, right? Let's talk about why there. Why is the point where the forward premium is 4%, but the interest rate differential is 2%. That means forward premium is bigger than interest rate differential. So this one is what? Covered interest arbitrage. Why? This one is the covered interest arbitrage is in favor of UK. Oops. Okay, let's talk about which one is. Well, this is Z. X is still this way, right? This way. The same case. So you could say X and Y. And this side we have Z there. Side Z, and this way. In this case, forward premium or forward discount is the -3, forward premium is -3%. And relative interest rate is only -1. So this one is bigger than this one, the opposite case. So all this area has higher interest rate differential than for the discount. So in this case, covered interest arbitrage is in favor of US. That's how you use, right? That's how you use. All this line, 45-degree line, that is the line, the case where this forward premium and interest rate differential are equal. Okay. I think we did everything, right? So I think this is interesting, right? Interesting. Now, one tricky point is if you are given this one here, it is here in a bid-ask price, then when you change this one here, I mean, you buy British pound, you have to pay ask price as we always do. So you use ask price to convert dollar to British pound. That's it. Just be careful about this. And for this one here, when you use the forward rate, this time you sell British pound, so you have to use like the bid price of this bid ask a quotation of forward rate, right? Just be careful about that. If the question is like complicated, advanced level, then you'll be given like bid ask. Just simply, when you buy British pound, then you just use ask price. When you sell it, sell it to the British, change that to US dollar back, then you have to use the bid price. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. I think it's neat, it's interesting, and a little bit complicated, but you have to pay attention to that. Triangle arbitrage, when you are given all this information, try to set up this system so that second and third, the unit, if you multiply second and third, it will give you the first one, directly comparable to the first one. So you have to change that way. If you are given the bid ask, the price, like other Mexican peso or that way, then the same thing. The approach is the same, right? And then just multiply this two and compare that, this one to this one, and then you make your decision. That's it. All right. If you have any question, and let me know, email me. And then this one will be posted on YouTube again. And your homework assignment will be open this midnight, today midnight will be open. Okay. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the week, and enjoy the homework assignment, right?